How every morning starts. Cup of coffee. On the weekend, you can even put some Irish cream in it, and away we go. Hope you enjoy the video. Got a real quick tip for you. Tubes of silicone. When you take the cap off, everybody has this thing about tightening it real tight. Don't do it. If you look real close, right at the base of the threads right here is a seam. And if you tighten it too tight, it cracks and then your silicone goes bad. This tube has been around in Florida heat and humidity for 6 months, and I removed the cap and it's still soft. Okay, now you can see I've got the cap siliconed on, both ends. Got my set screw in. Everything is ready. Now we're going to flip it over, do the same to the other side, and then we'll start assembling the brakes. Okay, so we just happened to find these. I'll set it like this so you can see it. It's a little Allen 5/16 coarse thread stretch screw that will clear here. So we're all good there. So all I'm going to do, I've had this for a while. If there's not, yeah, maybe, just maybe, we'll set that in there. And we'll tighten her up a good lick. Make sure there's clearance. And that's this side completely done. Now I'll go ahead and silicone this puppy in, and we will move on to the other side. Okay, so now what I've done is I've just set the axle under. I have the pads that I'm going to weld to the axle just sitting underneath it. I've got just a hair of a load on it. I'm going to give it a tap, see if it'll pop into the pin. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. There's one. Let's see where the pin is. Oh, she's very close. Come on, baby. And there we have it. Now what I'm going to do is drop it down just a hair more. Just put a little load on that. Okay. Now she is sitting on the axle. Now what we need to do is measure side to side. So we'll go ahead and our magic tape measure. I'm going to flip this spindle out of the way, and I'm going to measure from the side of the pad out to here. In doing so, I should be able to get pretty close to where I need to be. Let's put on a pair of glasses so I can see. I had marked these already with a little line. So I'm about 5 7/8, which is not lined up with my line. I'm gonna call that 5 7/8. I'm gonna call that 5 7/8. All right, everybody. Look, if you're doing any of this stuff, get you one of these. They're cheap, they're digital, and they work. So right now, we have right at 5 degrees of caster. 5 degrees is pretty good. I actually like to see just a hair more. Now obviously the spring's going to flatten out a little bit under a load. And as it gets flatter, this is going to rotate. So, well, as you can see, I'm starting to figure out this welder. I'm running it right against the edge of its duty cycle. So what it's doing is it's shutting off on me, kicking the breaker on the welder itself. But I'm getting good penetration, and sadly I can only weld just so much at a time, so it's going to be pieces. But it's working. Okay, there she is. I coated it in bed liner because bed liner is a little bit tougher and a little bit thicker than paint, so I'm not so apt to nick it as I put it up under there and take it down the road. Well guys, mistakes were made. Lesson learned, always open all of the bags that come with a kit. And the very last bag I opened, which I thought was just the mounting hardware for the tie rod ends, turned out to have the instructions for welding the straight axle together. And I have welded it 180 degrees away from the way it should be. Instead of having the upper part of the kingpin facing in, they are facing out. My bad, my bad, my bad. I'm gonna get a hold of Speedway Motors right now, see if I can get another set of the brackets so I can cut these off and weld them on the other sides. This really sucks, but hey, mistakes were made. Now we gotta correct them. So, what are you gonna do? It sucks.